Hello, my name is Eric Dozwa, and I have been given the distinct honor of presenting one of my most important and influential surgical mentors, Dr. Heidi Nelson, as an icon in surgery. I had the great fortune to be trained by Dr. Nelson as a general surgery resident and a colorectal fellow. I then had the privilege of being her colleague for many years at the Mayo Clinic. I, like many others, learned a great deal from Dr. Nelson, and for this, I will be forever grateful. Dr. Nelson is highly deserving of this recognition because she has left an indelible mark on the field of surgery. And because Dr. Nelson has contributed so much in a meaningful way, she is worthy of veneration. As an investigator, as a gifted technical surgeon, and as a leader, she has served her patients well. She has contributed landmark studies to the surgical literature. She trained the future of our specialty, and she has successfully led divisions and departments of surgery. Dr. Nelson's intelligence, drive, innovative mindset, clear vision, and tireless work ethic have elevated her to iconic status in the field of American surgery. Dr. Nelson influenced people in a positive way. She inspired young surgeons like myself to be critical thinkers and to develop skill sets that would help steer the field of surgery in a better direction. Anyone who knows Dr. Nelson knows that her commitment to excellence was always guided by strong core values and a deeply rooted passion to improve patient outcomes, especially patients with cancer. My interview with Dr. Nelson will focus on pivotal moments in her career, the important people she met along the way, and lessons learned. Heidi Nelson was born in 1954 in Southern California and raised by loving parents.
Thank you, Dr. Dozwa, for the lovely introduction, for your kind words, for being a colleague and a friend, and for being a partner on this project. I'm really grateful. Yes, I was raised in Los Angeles with loving parents, 3 brothers, and a wonderful extended family. My mother was a social worker, housewife, my father an aerospace engineer, and my mother and I were always close, and she and my aunt were my biggest fan club over the years, really giving me great support in my professional and personal lives. And my father, probably unknowingly, really trained me to be part of the workforce, even though there really weren't any expectations that I would join the workforce. But I was his right-hand person when it came to working on cars, bicycles, household appliances. So he really taught me how things work and how each thing fits in a bigger holistic system. And all those lessons were really important for me as I got on my journey.
Dr. Nelson, you have shared with me that you did not come from a medical family, and yet you found and pursued a professional path in surgery and are now recognized for your contributions to the field. Are there lessons for others in how you developed your career?
Yes, I think the message, if I could share anything with others that comes from my own experience, is that first and foremost, it's important to really get to know yourself. What are your strengths? What are your limits? When you're at your best, what are you doing and what do you enjoy? And I think the second important thing is to be open to the unexpected, to take chance and challenge and accept them and consider them so that you can grow personally and professionally, because that's where I think the greatest reward comes from. And you'll see, as I tell my story, that serendipity played a large role in many decisions: medical school, surgical career, and doing laparoscopic study. I dropped out of college because I really didn't know myself, and I didn't think I was ready to invest. And then soon after that, I went back to college realizing that the only way to get to know myself was to invest in my own education. And I did many things during college in terms of work, and including working at a National Science Foundation grant, electron microscopy company, and I really didn't see what was the future for jobs. But in my 3rd year at the end, I was speaking with Frank James, a friend of mine, and multiple times he insisted I should look at medical school, of which I knew nothing. And So, but he kept saying it's a great career, purpose-driven, and great opportunities. You can do almost anything you want with a medical degree. So I took him on his word, and I went to work at a nursing home for night shift and studied for the MCAT, took the MCAT, and got into medical school. So it was quite a surprising thing, and I'm very thankful that he pointed me in that direction. It's been a very rewarding. Unsurprisingly, my medical school experience was very similar. I came to the end of my third year and I had a rotation on surgery. Didn't really know what I was going to do, but the minute I experienced surgery, I fell in love with it. I enjoy problem solving, working with my hands, and I found it was a perfect match for me. The only problem was I didn't see any women in surgery, and I didn't know if women were allowed in the field. So I called my advisor, and she pointed me in the direction of Dr. Valerie Rusch, who was a cardiothoracic fellow at the University of Washington at the time, and she agreed to meet with me at the university cafeteria, and in something probably under 30 minutes basically told me, and this is all I really remember, is just do it. And there's probably more wisdom imparted than that, but it was the green light for me to say, okay, I can go ahead and step into that opportunity. I then went on to the Oregon Health Sciences University, where I was proud that I made the pyramid from 18 interns coming in, only 6 chief residents graduating, and I did graduate from the program. And along the way, I came to know Dr. William Fletcher, who was a mentor, became a lifelong friend, and he taught me a lot about cancer, how to respect it as a serious and complicated opponent. And he taught me all about running clinical trials because he ran SWOG trials in his oncology service. And he really gave me permission to pursue a colorectal research path and practice, and supported me when I needed it.
Dr. Nelson, you were born and raised, educated, and trained in surgery on the West Coast amongst the mountains, and where your extended family lived. And yet, you moved to Minnesota and spent your entire career at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. Tell us a little bit about how you got there and why you stayed there for your entire career.
Again, it was a bit of serendipity. I was applying to colorectal fellowships, and one day I was just sitting on a gurney waiting for a case with Dr. Richard Devine, and he was curious about what I was doing and asked what I was up to, and I said I was filling out an application for a colorectal surgery fellowship. And he said, well, you should apply to Mayo Clinic. He would write me a letter, which he did. And I was quite surprised that, in fact, I did get into the fellowship at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, and I started there in 1987. And that fall, Dr. Roger Dozwa invited me to join the staff. And I had planned to return to the West Coast for family reasons and because where I was from. But I found the culture of the clinic and the environment of Rochester and Minnesota, the values, to really be fitting for me. And I just was compelled to stay in Rochester, where I still live. The team that I joined that took care of colorectal cancer patients was exceptional. Mayo invested in me. They gave me an opportunity to have an immune therapy lab and get trained in immune therapy before I opened that lab. And then I joined a team of experts who valued excellence and collaboration. And I had really, bar none, the best gastroenterology, pathology, radiology, radiation oncology, medical oncology group to work with than you can imagine. And it was an honor to be part of that team because I knew I could truly improve myself and be the best person and the best surgeon that I could possibly aspire to.
Looking back at your professional journey, Dr. Nelson, one word comes to mind: trailblazer. Throughout your professional development and career, you took on difficult challenges, overcame barriers, and asked important questions that sometimes challenge the status quo. In your academic work, you promoted and drove innovation, leading to better science and better patient outcomes. What would you say has been your greatest contribution to the field of surgery?
Well, it's very curious that my greatest contribution is the laparoscopic colectomy trial, because at the time that laparoscopic surgery was really emerging and moving from gallbladder surgery to colon surgery, I was a maximally invasive surgeon doing sacrectomies for advanced rectal cancer. I had a bench lab. I didn't do clinical research, and I'd never touched a laparoscope. But around 1993, it was clear that we had to explore whether or not laparoscopic surgery was appropriate and feasible in colon surgery. And I was junior, and so it was logical for me to do that thing, to do that job. And so I trained myself with others, assistants, how to do laparoscopic surgery, and then embarked on the clinical trial. And what's interesting is that essentially everybody said a clinical trial couldn't be done. But I was so proud that 65 surgeons across the country denied that claim and said it could be done and should be done, and they in fact did it. And what really impressed me the most is that each of these surgeons willingly submitted video recordings of their own surgery for others who were peers to review, so that they could be credentialed and their cases could be audited at any time during the trial. So they're my heroes. They really stepped up and did a tremendous job in the conduct of that trial. I'm quite grateful also to Dr. Sam Wien, the statistician of the study, who helped us reduce the number of patients we had to accrue from 3,000 to 1,200, because he invented basically the inferiority statistic. And that really gave us a reasonable target to reach, gave us hope that we could do the study.
Dr. Nelson, you chaired Mayo Clinic Division of Colon and Rectal Surgery and the Department of Surgery, and led the American College of Surgeons Clinical Trials Group and the cancer programs. Can you comment on what inspired you to pursue these leadership roles?
Well, I never set out to be a leader. I never aspired to be a leader. It wasn't on my near horizon, but Dr. Roger Dozwa approached me 6 years after I joined the staff to become chair of the Division of Colon and Rectal Surgery, and on his advice I accepted the role, and I learned a lot from that experience. I will forever be thankful for my colleagues, who I consider personal friends in the Division of Colorectal Surgery, for their patience and their support of me as I learned how to become a leader. It takes time and commitment for certain, and I learned a lot and grew a lot through that experience. And I would say that it's very important for surgeons to be leaders at a local level and at a national level, in part because simply if you're not at the table, you're not part of the decisions. And when resources are being allocated, the people who aren't there are not as likely to get those resources. And I believe surgeons are very good at making decisions. We make difficult decisions all the time. I know it takes away from surgeons doing what they love most, which is to operate, but it's very important, particularly in my opinion in cancer, that we're at the national tables so that we're part of the national cancer agenda. I estimate that we operate on at least 1 million cancer patients a year and do contribute significantly to the cure of cancer for many solid malignancies.
So earlier in our conversation, Dr. Nelson, you talked about how challenges and overcoming barriers led to a lot of professional growth. Can you comment on your areas of personal growth in your life over the last several years?
Yes, thank you for the question. I would say, laparoscopic colectomy was the greatest challenge in my professional career and gave me the greatest reward. And in my personal life, it was the challenge of becoming and being a mother while also being a surgeon. So the dogma, when I was basically a younger surgeon, was that to be a good surgeon, you really couldn't be a mother, and to be a mother, you really couldn't be a surgeon. And somewhere along the line, I realized I'd learned enough surgery and practiced enough surgery that I thought I could become a mother. And so I did become a mother, and it was the greatest growth and personal reward. I have a wonderful daughter. I spoke already about serendipity, about taking chances, of being open to the unexpected, to take on challenges that offer professional and or personal growth. But I think it's also important to realize that we are assisted and helped and we grow with others. And gratitude has played a large role in my life. I will always be grateful to not only the people I named, but to many who I just didn't have time to name today. There were patients who trusted in me to do their surgery and who opened through their stories my eyes to a bigger world. Trainees who sought and sometimes demanded clarity of thinking and approach, for which I'm grateful. Obviously, my colleagues and friends in the healthcare profession have been great supporters, as have my family, who gave me the love and support even when I worked long hours and wasn't there. So I think we always have to have in our heart the gratitude for what we're given in the world.